gracias. Hola, buenos dias, continuous liners. I just got my coffee delivered to me here. Look at this beautiful cup of coffee. Isn't that gorgeous? Oh, wait a minute. I can't eat that yet. I can't eat my coffee yet. I got to eat my beef jerky. Hang on here. So good morning, everyone. It's Wednesday, June 7th, 2023, and I'm out here on the streets after a little bike ride in Roma Norte. I'm over here at Haria, beautiful Roma Norte Cafe. Look at this building. Let's see if you can see the architecture. Super cool. It's like one of my most favorite buildings here in Roma Norte, and they have wonderful pastries, and all the hip kids are here. There's even a Xolo. Where is he? Xolo is one of those hairless Mexican dogs that are super cool looking. Frida Kahlo used to have those. There's one of those roaming around here. And I'm having a little beef jerky. I had my Brussels sprouts. Nothing like starting the day with some Brussels sprouts. Now I'm on a bike ride, and now I'm going to do some continuous line warm-ups with you all. Vegetables first, carne second, and then you can have carbohydrate. Not then. I guess I say it like that because to me, carbohydrates are the prize, right? That's the bread. That's the donut. I don't eat donuts, right? It's the pasta. And it used to be the coffee I would get with milk and sugar, but I'm not doing sugar in it anymore. So it's really just coffee and milk. So after I have this, do you mind me sharing this with you? I mean, it's interesting. I feel like I never quite recovered from the era of making bread in the early days of the pandemic. I didn't make bread, but I ate a lot of it. I think I was making like sugar cookies in the very beginning. And so I kind of gained some bread belly. So anyways, I got tired of feeling sort of full all the time, so I discovered this glucose goddess, and I'm enjoying, because I don't feel like I'm being deprived, right? That's super important with any sort of lifestyle. I don't do diets, I don't weigh myself, I don't count calories, but, and I don't like feeling deprived, right? So this is a good way to not feel deprived. Because why not start your day with something savory, right? And then you go out and do cool things like go to hip Roma Norte cafes with Xolos. There he is. They're very cool to like touch because their skin is kind of leathery. They're out in the sun and they have no hair. Anyways, all right, if you're all with me, hello. Hello, Amy. Hello, Jeanette. If you have a pen, a big pen, and some copy paper, get your, let's get ready. Let's do it, right? My coffee has arrived, so I'm going to jump into it. Oh, I'm cruising through my pages. I'm actually doing like 3 or 4 a day. 3 warm-ups. Now let me have a sip of this beautiful cup. Muy buenos dias, everyone. Nothing like that for a sip of coffee, right? You see some of the street action here. I kind of like to let you do a little people watching, because that is one of the beautiful things about living in Mexico City, is the people watching. Life is lived out on the streets in Mexico. You eat out on the streets, you drink out on the streets, you play music out on the streets, you play in the streets. So it's you know, it's a good place to feel alive, Mexico City. I mean, I'm from America, and in my career of living in Mexico, I would go back and forth to Austin and to Chicago, the suburbs of Chicago, and you know, it's kind of lonely. It's lonely, I think, in America. Because there's not a lot of public places to gather, right? Now I know that there are some, but you know, it's kind of like everyone's working all the time and go, go, go. And people are working here too. Don't get me wrong. This is a hustle city, just like the best of them. They are hustling here. That's why it's been hard to make friends here, because everyone is deeply entrenched in the hustle here, and they're deeply entrenched in their tribes, right? And I don't say that disrespectfully, because I know it's kind of disrespectful to say, where's my tribe, right? But honestly, here, people are entrenched in their tribes and they're entrenched in the hustle, right? So, but generally speaking, life is lived out on the streets here in Mexico City. The cafes are all have, I know this hasn't happened elsewhere too, but all the cafes and restaurants have beautiful dining rooms outside, right? So you don't have to go inside and breathe other people's COVID breath. Which is still a thing, apparently. So, you know, it's hard to know what's really the deal these days with health and safety and everything, right? Everything's kind of a jump ball these days. Let me put this down just a little bit. There. Everything's a bit of a jump ball these days, right? Like from our politics, from the climate. Oh my God, the fires and the smoke. Do you see the pictures out of New York? That's kind of creepy, man. Talk about apocalyptic, right? Like that's just that little orange speck in the sky, and everything is like a grayish yellow. Oh, and we're talking like a massive city, and so there's already lots of lung damage from everything, pollution, COVID, everything, right? And now you got like wildfire smoke everywhere. This is like one of those things, like if you were ever a non-believer about global climate crisis, right? This is like one of the ways you're like, oh, I didn't think that this would happen, right? Now, if you're still not believing in the climate crisis, you got bigger problems than we're going to be able to solve here. But it is one of those things, like, you hear about floods in third world countries and massive devastation far away, right? Well, far away is also right here, right? Because we are all in it. Garbage truck. I'm sort of fascinated by garbage trucks, right? The whole issue of garbage. We humans create a lot of garbage. A lot of garbage, right? What are we doing with it all? I was thinking about food waste, right? You know, like, I think it's a law in many places that you have to throw the food away. You can't give food away. I'm talking about like restaurants and businesses. But I also know that that's changing in a lot of places. I think France changed that for their country. And honestly, there's plenty of stupid laws, right? So there's plenty of stupid laws out there, but is there a stupider law than throwing away good food instead of giving it to hungry people? Oh my God. But we seem to be in the era of making stupid laws and sidestepping importante cosas, right? Here's me, no politics stuff, and I'm hitting it all. See, he's on the phone. He's talking at full length, full volume by himself. I'm kind of mid-volume, right? But I'm not going to, like, generalize. But generally speaking, men seem to be much more comfortable speaking what looks like to no one, right? Like, I just see so many people walking down the street talking full volume. You can barely even see the earbuds because they're so little now, right? So, if someone's got longish hair or hats or whatever, and they're just talking full volume, we are we're insane. So, what are you going to do with the insanity of the world, huh? How are you going to get through it? What are you going to do so you don't literally go insane? So you can sort of laugh at it, so you can sort of be not too threatened by the impending doom. What do we do? I don't know. Believe me, it's scary. I'm by myself here in this big city. I mean, I have acquaintances, and my one friend is moving this week. Thank you very much, Paula. My one friend here in the city. Very hard to get a friend, and I find a friend, and now she's leaving. Anyways, what was I saying? Oh, yeah. it can be a little overwhelming, right? If I look at the news and look at the stuff, and then I realize I'm here in this massive city. Everyone's so afraid of Mexico City. Everyone thinks they're going to die here. Everyone thinks it's just shootouts and narcos and drug deals and pickpockets and thieves and swindlers and drug deals. And I mean, that's how people think I'm living. People who don't know Mexico City, who don't get it, right? I mean, but I know the United States has a big campaign to keep people afraid of Mexico. Because they want people to stay in the United States and spend the money there. Don't go to Mexico, you're going to die there. Stay here, we'll kill you. We'll kill you while you're in church, or while you're in the grocery store, or while you're in the movie theater, or while you're taking your kids to school. We'll kill you. But don't go to Mexico, because they're going to kill you. Where would they kill you here? I mean, there is violence here. There certainly is stuff going on here. I mean, I know in the state of Guanajuato, there's some things. The sky is falling here. Tree branches are falling into my coffee. They're falling on my head. So maybe the sky is falling. Oh no, there's birds up there fighting. I see the birds are fighting. So I hope this isn't bird poop. I don't think it is, because I saw like a stick thing go into my coffee. And it hit me on the shoulder too. A stick, not bird poop. But I see the birds up there. Oh, there's like 3 of them, and they're fighting. See, everyone's fighting these days. Oh, that branch-infused coffee is delicious, though. Yeah, I got stuff all over my deal here. Let me open my mouth and look up and see what happens. I got some beef jerky in my mouth. The sky is falling. All right, so I was letting a big truck go by. I'm doing my lines, as I do every day. I can feel the anxiety melting away. It doesn't always fully go away. The anxiety of the world, of our lives, is something we just have to learn to deal with, right? We got to figure it. We got to find ways to manage, because we're never going to be. I mean, this whole thing of making things great again. Please. That we all have great times, have had great times, and we've all had challenging times, right? That is life. And so to sugarcoat things, or to romanticize that we're going to go back, or it's even possible to go back to a time when things were great. Things were never always great. There have been times of greatness in each and every one of our lives, right? No matter what. Even if you got nothing, there's still times of greatness. There's times of great challenge too, right? So this whole illusion, this whole gaslighting of going back to a life that was better. Come on. We gotta when I was walking here today, when I was walking to the bike, there was 2 men in front of me. And one of the men was wearing a skirt, a very beautiful skirt, swishy. And he had tattoos on his legs, and he had a beard, and he had a hat. And the other guy was, looked like a normal guy. And as I was walking behind them, I'm like, and they were acting like they were just going on with their life, right? Like they were doing their day to go on their way to work or whatever. And I was like, this is kind of what's happening here. Life has changed. Things are different. 2 men can walk down the street, one of them in a skirt. I think he had earrings on, right? And this is the new fluid way that the world is going to be, right? There's all kinds of things that are changing, that if you're not going to accept it, then you're going to have a very hard time, right? If you're not going to accept diversity, you're going to have a very hard time. If you're not going to accept women's rights, you're going to have a very hard time, right? And so all these people who are having a really hard time with change happen to be people in great power, right? Holding great power. How'd that happen, right? You know what happened? And I'm part of that problem, is I just never bothered to vote, right? I was like, yeah, whatever, for a long time, right? I didn't think my input mattered, and who knows if it does, but I think for so long the politicians just went unchecked because no one really cared. There was too much other drama in our lives that we didn't really care about politics because we didn't have to. We didn't have to worry about the silly laws that were being passed because, generally speaking, they probably didn't affect you or me, right? Most days are over, right? Like these laws are affecting women, children, minorities, the underserved, right? The overserved. So, all these laws that are being crammed through unchecked, it's changing the fabric of our nation, but it's also causing an uprising, right? Which is always, it's kind of stressful. It's stressful because everything's changing very quickly, right? And either like, what are our choices? Our choices are to stick your head in the sand. We can stick our head in the sand. I've never been able to do that, though. I've tried to like detach and just say, oh, I'm going to just go be disconnected for a while. It's hard this day and age with everything is, connected to our phones. Oh, let me just peek once and see what's happening, right? Look what's happening. The whole world's on fire or whatever, right? So you have to have ways of being able to check out, detach from the horrors of the world. Now, there's good news out there too, right? It's not all horrendous. But make your own good news. Make art. Oh my goodness. The rains really started here in Mexico, and I guess that was Monday night. My new easel has changed my life. I mean, incredibly. I'm really having fun with it. Thank you, Paula, who's leaving me this week. And so it started raining, and I was like, oh, I'm going to do a large continuous line pattern drawing. And it starts thundering and lightning and super cool, and like the freshness in the air, the freshness of rain. When it first starts raining, that smell, even in a big ugly city, the smell of when the rains first start is a beautiful thing, right? So the rain, thunder, the noise. And so I just started drawing Tlaloc, who is the Aztec god of water and storms, right? He's a complicated god, right? The longer I live here, the more I learn about some of the Aztec history. It's massive, right? So Tlaloc is the giver of life and taketh of life, because water is life, right? So he's the Aztec god of water. So I started drawing him and continuously pattern on a good piece of watercolor paper, and I'm going to have to get some better inks because I went through 3 full days in doing that drawing, and I don't know if it was because of the roughness of the paper, but then the texture did a nice thing on the paper, but it was very hard to I didn't get that smooth flowing thing. And it was totally fine because in the end, like, it's pouring rain and I'm doing continuous line pattern making, and I got it all on the page. I sized it nicely. I didn't even put any pencil marks or anything. I totally freestyled it, right? There's a guy standing right here. And so it looks like he's looking at me and I'm looking at him, but honestly nobody cares, right? There goes the Cholo. Adios, Cholo. Did you see him? So, so it's pouring rain, and I finish this, and then I just get my watercolors, and I just throw some water on the page, and I throw some paint on the page, and then I let it go, right? Hit it with a few brush pen to exaggerate the eyes, because he's got pretty intense eyes, right? And then I would just let it go. Right? Like in my mind, there was this whole thing like, oh, go back in there and do this, add more, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no, just let it go. And it was pouring and thundering, and I was like, and music rocking. And it was just like, God, it was a beautiful thing. It was a beautiful thing to just like connect with my creativity, right? To connect and do painting and pouring rain, thunder of a Aztec water god in the middle of an Aztec rainstorm, right? I mean, there is something very, very visceral about Mexico City, right, that I never felt in any other city that I lived in, because the history, much of the history is like right in your face here. You got Aztec snakes coming out of buildings, you got pyramids busting through sidewalks, you've got, I mean, the amount of museums here is like off the charts, right? There was a whole civilization. There's been lots of civilizations, but there's a whole civilization that they don't really know how it disappeared, but there's still remnants of that civilization everywhere, right? And, you know, even like as I spend time at the Anthropology Museum and I learn, you know, I look at something that is ancient, you know, thousands of years old, and they just pulled it out of the ground 3 years ago, right? Like, or something like that. Oh, I'm right in the sun here. The sun has arrived, but you can probably see things pretty good, right? Yeah. So anyways, you know, I may get overwhelmed and nervous about living by myself in Mexico City and looking at, seeing what's happening in the world with climate and politics. Even here in Mexico, they're going crazy here in Mexico with, you know, their president is a Trumper wannabe, whatever, Trump type. Ugh, I hate even saying that name. So there's lots of like anti-democracy things going on around the world, right? And finances, right? The whole like price of things. I did a retreat in Sayulita at the beach last year, and I was thinking about, you know, doing another one, taking a group to the beach in January, because what a great time to be at Sayulita, right? Well, the prices of the hotels have gone up considerably, and this is not like a luxurious hotel. This is like a funky hotel right on the beach, right in the heart of things of Sayulita. Super great, but it's not like the most relaxing place. I mean, it's kind of relaxing, but it's not like lounge and take naps in the afternoon, because you're right in the action where there's street musicians and vendors and surfers and tourists and restaurants and tacos and the whole deal, right? So, although they did, you know, when I kind of barked, because obviously we all have to accept that prices are going up, have gone up. And sometimes you just, you know, that's just the way it is. But it doesn't hurt to ask, right? Like, is this your final price? Is this the best you can do? And she said, no, we got a little wiggle room, right? So always good to ask, right? When it's right? Like not in a mercado when you're buying like a handy arts from someone, and you know you're trying to knock them down $2, right? Like there's a time and place to haggle. It used to be it was okay to haggle in mercados, but it's not like that so much anymore. Mostly because it's oftentimes not worth it. Now, it can be worth it, but mostly it's not worth it, because we're talking about like a little bit of money that you got in your pocket and the person who's selling it does not, right? So it's best to be a little sensitive about these things. Who's with me here? Hi, Connie. Hi, Ricky. Hi, Jeanette. Hi, Amy. I don't know if you're still there. I'm being blinded by the sun. Reverse blinding. It's so bright behind me that I can't see anything in front of me. But I'm doing my line warm-ups, and I'm talking about how I do my drawing. I make my paintings. I make my drawings as a way to disengage from the chaos of the world, because there's so much chaos in the world these days, right? There's like a lot of noise. Look at this Shibu Inu. What a cutie. Hi, cutie. See that little doggy? Shibu Inu. Great dog watching in Mexico City too, because everyone has a dog. Everyone has a dog, right? And believe me, I sometimes crumble and like, that's it, I'm going to get a dog. But I'm going to Chicago in July, and that would just be a big expense, and not the right time to get a dog when you're leaving town, right? So I got to just be strong. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so I connect with my art. I connect with my creativity. I keep my drawing fluid. I keep my drawing strong. I do a lot of silly warm-up practices, because it it just helps me. It's, first of all, this is strengthening my eye-hand coordination just by the sheer act of making lines, right? Lines, they're tidy lines. Can you see that? I think you can see it. I can't see anything. It's so bright behind me. So the sheer act of making lines, right? I like my lines tidy. There's collisions because, like, here's where I laughed. Here's where I had a sip of coffee. Here's where I had to look at a dog. You know, whatever it is. Lines, my lines, just like your lines, are a representation of your life, right? Like, there's collisions, there's moments of greatness, there's stumbles, there's stops, there's wobbles, the whole deal, right? Like, your lines are your energy, right? And our energy is, you know, it's not always up. It's sometimes down, right? But I find that if I just lean into my drawing practice, and just focus on strengthening my lines, right? Focusing on just like the zen of making lines, right? And just for this moment, I'm not going to worry about the guy standing right there screaming in my ear or the hot sun coming down on my back because it's already got really hot, right? I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to like lean into my lines and enjoy the benefits of making lines and how it makes me feel. It calms me down. It calms me down. It connects me to something outside of myself. Drawing is a very woo-woo sacred thing if you allow it to be, right? Like, it can be a job just like anything else, and then that's where sometimes the fun comes out of it. It's my job right now, but and my chosen job too, right? Like, I couldn't sell medical supplies, right? Like, I could probably not even sell coffee, maybe coffee, but I really have to be true to myself. Like many of us, I've had plenty of jobs that were awful, right? Like, you got to do the time. It's not always easy. Sometimes you got to work for the man or the woman, whatever it is. And if you're lucky enough, you find the thing that you love. And then it's still work. That whole thing, do what you love and you never work a day in your life. It's still work, right? It's still work. You still got to get, you got to do administrative things. And I mean, it seems like lately I'm doing a lot of administrative things because I'm like trying to like get my classes out there to the masses, and it's working. I'm like giving it away. I've got people signing up. I've got new people interested. I got people looking at me like, you're nuts. Can you just tone it down a little bit? I'm like, no, I'm living my life and I'm trying to support my life. I have plans to go to Chicago. I have plans to go to Ireland. These things are not cheap. And so I'm trying to do things. Oh, so my painting that I did of Tlaloc, I took it in to get it framed, because I was invited to do another performance here in Mexico City on July 2nd. And so as a teaser, I'm going to be doing a live continuous line drawing. Well, long and short of it is someone asked if they could buy it. And so I have sold that painting that I just did. And so now I'm like, I am going to do more of these because this is how I'm going to afford to get to Chicago, afford to get to Ireland, and be able to have a cup of coffee or a shepherd's pie or Guinness or whatever, right? Like, it's not cheap to go to travel these days. I think we all know that, right? And so I'm going to start doing more large-scale drawings and paintings, and they are going to be for sale. I've never really gotten things framed before. My commitment to myself is I'm going to try to get 2 things framed a month, right? Because that makes such a nice difference. Because, at least for me, sometimes if I buy unframed art, I never see it again because I put it in the closet and go, oh, I'm going to get that framed, and then I never do. Sometimes I do, but usually I don't, right? So I'm going to start getting things framed and looking at other options. I just discovered something. I'm not going to talk about it just yet, but I discovered another way that I'm going to explore. How's that? Huh? Here comes that branch that bird threw in my coffee. It's not bird poop. It is literally a branch in my coffee. So my branch infused coffee is delicious. There it is. It just came. So, anyways, I'm going to start selling my paintings. I'm going to start doing more drawings. I got my easel all lined up to do another large painting tonight. When I do my live performance, I'm going to be doing a live continuous line painting, right? Something Mexican, because I wonder about this too. Is it cultural appropriation? I'm trying to be very sensitive to that. And, you know, because I'm white and I'm here in Mexico, right? And so I want to be sensitive, like I'm not trying to capitalize on the Mexican culture and their icons. But I really do like them. I really do appreciate them. They're a part of my life now. It's not like I'm just coming in and stealing their stuff and then I'm going to go back to, you know, Houston and try to sell them at an art market. I love learning about the Mexican culture. I love learning about the Aztec gods. Two different things, Aztec gods and then Mexican culture, right? Because Aztec came before the Mexican thing. So, I love jaguars. I got jaguars all over my apartment. Not the real ones. So, anyways, there's my deal. I don't want to be cultural appropriation. I don't want to be cultural appropriation Karen, right? Here in Mexico City. So, anyways, I got to get to my continuous line fund. Finally, the Jabberjaw just motoed away. He's like standing right here screaming at me. There's a whole sidewalk he can like be screaming at, but he's standing right here talking to no one, even though he's got his earbuds on. So he is talking to someone, but it looks like he's standing right here screaming at me. But I'm sitting right here screaming at you. Not really screaming, but like, so first of all, we're all doing it, so I can't get mad at someone for talking to no one, because I'm totally doing it too. I am talking to no one, but I'm actually talking to my community. So does that make sense? All right, today I did my coffee cup. Continuous line coffee cup. Yeah, I don't know why. I was just probably because I was looking at this beautiful cup. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? Now, I know I always say it's important not to draw anything in the drawing warm-ups, but I was so fired up talking about, I don't even remember what I was talking about, but I was fired up. Don't you remember? All right, everyone. Today's Wednesday. It feels like Monday in a way because I didn't have a class yesterday. But yeah, it's Wednesday, June 7th. I got my fundamentals. On Instagram, I do a little giveaway. If you, if you want an opportunity at winning the recordings, you should follow me on Instagram because I do giveaways in my stories. And if you don't already follow me on YouTube, please do, because I would like to do live videos there. The thing about YouTube, though, you have to have 1,000 followers before they let you do anything. And I'm like, that's a lot. I have 270 followers, for which I am very, very, very grateful for. But I have a feeling that's going to be a little slow going over there on the YouTubes. But I'm all about it. I'm going to get myself to see the world through my continuous line, and I'm bringing my cult with me. And if you're watching this, you're in my cult. Hey, there's a St. Bernard that just went by, and he's got like a little backpack on, and I think there's martinis in it. You don't see many St. Bernards with like backpacks in Mexico City. But there goes a St. Bernard. You know what else I see a lot of here is huskies. And I don't know why people are having huskies in Mexico, because they look hot. Great Danes. I see a lot of Great Danes too. What are those Irish ones? The Irish Wolfhounds. I've seen a few. Very impressive, right? They're like as tall as me. But I can't imagine living in a city with essentially a cow or a horse, right? That's amazing. Anyways, I'm going off on tangents now when I should be getting home. I'm all prepared for my fundamentals, so everyone have a great day. Do your line warm-ups. Draw your stories in continuous, or just, it doesn't have to be continuous line. Practice your continuous line so you can tell your stories through your drawings, which will make you feel better because you can avoid the news of the day, right? And I think everyone needs to, when possible, avoid the news of the day. Have a good day. See you all later. Bye.